Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered what it is to be on the 800 to 1100 ELO territory? I hope you're not there. It is a nightmare, but that's not the point because today is the final day of the second low ELO League Championship, the finals. And my god, did we have a fun time watching them. There were throws, blunders, quote-unquote gambits, and anything in between. Trust me, a lot of in between. But it was generally better than the other games that I've analyzed at 3 in the morning with my coffee in hand. Speaking of coffee, I have it right next to me. It's almost finished because of how long this took. In tradition, I always try to make you to the voice call of the League Championship to just look at it live and have a live reaction for myself. I don't record it because I respect the privacy of others. But if you wanted to record the games live, which is when they're going share screen and stuff like that, let me know if you want that. But I feel like people won't like that because their voice is on the internet. That's not really privacy safe, so I'm not gonna do that unless I get permission for it. So whatever. Anyway, our protagonists are Cole and Dim. Dim has been undisputed and unrivaled and undefeated for the past 7 games against Cole, who's literally the owner of the fucking server and has 15,000 subscribers. Obviously, everyone is voting for Cole to win, and I'm voting for both players because both of them were my top seeds, and I can't decide which one's the better player. Because, oh my, that live reaction I saw was insane. And one of these games is so crazy that I was laughing nonstop. And I'm not joking. So, before we get in, join the Discord server, subscribe, like, and in the next League video, I will be the one participating on the high-low. And you're going to see me get absolutely humbled and destroyed by all the 2000s of the server. I hope you like watching me getting destroyed, because I act like a nerd sometimes. But if that's really what you are onto, go ahead. Anyway, guys, enjoy this absolute masterpiece. Our contestants is Dim with the white pieces and Cole with the black pieces. Backstory of the characters, the antagonist and the character. So Dim with the white pieces has gone undefeated 7 times. No one has beaten him in the entire tournament. And Cole somehow made it as the star that we're gonna admire. So, most players here begin the game with e4 or d4, sometimes in rare cases like c4, like Chris did and paid with blood. But we're gonna have g3 today, the King's Fianchetto opening. Now, I've given advice in the past, the best way to counter a Fianchetto opening is to take as much central control as possible. So d5 is a very good start to that. e5 is also a very good start. E3 to support knight e2, so you don't block the bishop. And now knight f6. I don't like knight f6. If you ask me here, c5, take as much space as possible. If possible, take even more space. If possible, not right away because it's kind of losing. Here you can take more space, and if that move happens, you take and destroy the bishop. And if the undermine keeps going on, it's still good, but you can also just play f5 here and still be completely fine. We have knight f6. I don't hate it for this level, to be fair. Cole is like 800, so whatever. d4 already cracking in at the center. We have e4 shutting down the bishop. Very good move. Knight to e2, like we talked about. I mean, that's the only good square for the knight. The other one is h3, but it's a little absurd. Bishop g4 to pin the knight to the fatty queen. h3, asking the bishop a question. The bishop decides to stick around. And it's already 0.7. Why is it 0.7? Because takes, that's a free pawn. You no way to defend it. No way to defend this pawn. So, knight to c6. Not a bad move. We take the pawn. Okay. So, Dim is confidently up a pawn in this game, although you could make the argument black has compensation, like activity. I don't see an activity here, to be fair. Queen d7 is the move chosen. This is the top edge move to go alongside and launch an attack on white. Knight c3 to triple attack the pawn. Bishop b4 is the only move to pin the knight to the king, so it doesn't, do pawn shenanigans. Bishop d2, and of course, bishop takes knight. Don't trade bishops for knights for no reason. In this case, it's a good reason. But you can also just support it with alongside castles here. Support the center with that, because if they take, then they lose material. So yeah, there are better ways to do it, but fine, you can do it this way. Bishop takes, long castles, long castles. Okay, equal game. And now Cole gets himself a very powerful knight. This knight is what we call an octopus knight. It controls 12. Actually, no. 8 squares. 8 squares. My bad. It controls 8 squares, which is these 4 and these 4. This is an octopus knight. It controls a bunch of squares. And white just has this very poopy bishop and kind of good knight against poopy knight and monster knight. Cole should absolutely not trade this knight for this garbage bishop over here, because it's locked away in pawns, and doesn't. We have c5 supporting the knight, and, it just defends it extra. It's not a bad move. The engine just hates it for some unknown reason. I mean, I like the move. I don't know why the engine was a hater. We have g4 to undermine the pawn structure. I guess that's why, but the computer gives h4 to, restrict black's play, I think. That's probably why. But we have g4 and g5. Now the knight has to move. The knight moves, and it is -2. Why is it -2? Because takes, and if you take that, it's a queen trade, forced, and then it's a fork. That's just there. It just exists. It doesn't get spotted first move. So what's the best way to avoid getting forked like that? Just apparently the only move according to the computer here is bishop to e1, and you take, and they go for this, and they take here. Well, now you can just trade, be down a pawn. I mean, actually, not down a pawn, just equalize your material, but have more chance in the end game because you're, you make the argument that you losing your material advantage is not as bad as you think. But this is low elo Liko. This is not the mid elo or the high elo. So let's get some action. This move is what happens, and of course this time Cole spots it, takes. Oh, doesn't even take, and just goes here, and obviously lose the rook. Trades further down material, and now this is the part of the game where you are told it's an easy conversion. Now you're going to be telling me, why did you not take the knight? You have the same question as I am. But we have this. Now, what should Cole absolutely do here? Queen, trade. No way of losing. You just give this check. Worst case scenario, you give this check, and you go in a very, very long game. Not like that. That just blunders that. And then you just go here, slowly win the pawn, promote 2 more knights, and win. Cole, on the other hand, kills his coordination with a check, like that, and then goes here. Now, can I ask for the reason? Why not just... Look, second line of the engine, right there. Queen takes c4. Because by removing the most powerful piece, you will have no problems. You will just win these on your sleep. You got a rook. They got a horse and a bishop. The bishop is trash already, so why not just trade the one most powerful piece that white has and have a comfortable advantage? Does that sound well? It does, because it is. Instead, we have this, here, and this. Kills coordination, but fine. I guess you want to defend the pawn and not trade queens. I was drinking coffee. Couldn't talk while drinking, because that's kind of bad. We have pawn to c3 giving the king a little bit of breathing room, because it really needs that right now. And we have knight to a5, which threatens to take over these 2 squares here, threaten to promote. You can take the c4 square away and just control more of the position of white. We have king to c2 and knight to c4, exactly doing what I said, controlling the position of the white side. And we have e4, takes here, and you really shouldn't be caring about this knight because it's kind of killed. You could defend the knight, but then you could lose your rook. You could also defend the rook like that, but then you blunder a perpetual, so you pretty much have to say goodbye to the knight, and instead go for the meat. Not that. I was more referring towards the king. Because they have to go outside here. And then you just... You can give this check, but then lose the rook. But you can also take here. Sacrificing the knight. Because here and here, you win a queen. So... You could have gone for that, but obviously with Cole having 2 minutes on the clock, he of course did not spot that. So, because Cole started thinking in move 1 of the game. So, anyway, so we have here instead, and it's mate in 3, and Cole successfully calculates mate in 2. So that's the ending of game 1. That means Cole has a 1-0 lead. So, it is now game 2. Cole has a 1-0 lead, and now I'm going to watch it again through Dim's perspective. Are you ready? Here we go. Scandinavian. You can learn the Scandinavian in an hour. They can learn how to pound the sit in a minute. I mean, the best way I like to play against the Scandinavian, if I play e4, is to go knight to f3 and keep the viable option of d4, c4, you know, to take some central space, like you do in Nibs of Indian, for example, just take central space. We have knight c3 is the most common variation, and the main line is to just, you know, dance with your queen around and get back to the home square. Knight to f3, knight to f6, d4, bishop f5, bishop d2, bishop and c6. This is just to give the queen escape square. It is 0.8 because, I mean, you're just dancing around with your queen, really. So, yeah, that's why it's like that. Bishop d3. Voluntarily destroying your pawn structure. That is a questionable decision. Indeed. Also, did I think crashed? I think my eval bar crashed. Like, it's not moving. Queen d8? 1 second. I don't know why it wanted to die on me, but I fixed it. I just had to leave and rejoin. Okay, so queen d8, castles, e6. Now, with the person with the double pawn structure, also known as dip, that's how I like to call it from now on, is he wants the open lines. So, isolated pawns give you open lines, and you can use those open lines for attacks. And the more pieces you trade, the weaker the pawn structure becomes. So, Cole, like a very good 800, decides to pin the knight to the queen. It gets protection, rook e1, bishop e7, and takes the knight as a result of that. Because why not, you know? So, bad move. Not really a reason to trade your bishop for a knight here. I mean, your only argument is that you're wasting time, but you're not really. You're improving black's position. Rook c1, castles, rook e5, and bishop d6, attacking the cookie. Rook e1 all the way back. I mean, you could have also just gone here and keep the viable option for a doubling of the rocks, but fine, that also works. And we have rook c8, not a bad move, and a4. In Grandmaster play, they explain it as a way to take space away from your opponent. In this, I'm probably going to do the same. It takes away space from the opponent. Knight to d5. Strong knight, most likely going to get traded. It doesn't, and instead we hang the knight. I'm sorry, I was told to say gambiting the knight, not hanging it, okay? So Cole confidently gambits the knight. It's promptly taken. I mean, if you wanted to be a lot more smart, you could have also just played knight takes c3. And if they, you know, took, you could also just take, and you would be, you know, just winning confidently. So yeah, but this is also fine. This is also just fine. Knight e2, and the queen goes all the way back. Queen d2, and the bishop attacks the queen. The only way to defend against the skewer is to do this, and we take the knight, and we take here. And now black has a very comfortable and commanding advantage, because they're up a fucking piece. And now the queen goes here, and now we have a6 to try and go for b5 in the future. Goes for b5, and now they just have a nice little 2-on-1, because the pawn structure is doubled. And you see, folks, this is why the isolated pawns are really bad when there are not enough pieces. If you don't have a lot of pieces and you have a bunch of isolated pawns, you're gonna cooked. So, yeah. Okay, we have c4, and the bishop goes there. And if you take this, I think you're like lost. Yeah, you take the rook, and then you take this pawn, And now you just keep constant pressure on this, and you lose this here, and then you just attack your opponent. You just win because it's just bad for them. We don't have that doesn't happen, of course. I mean, that's a little too complex. So we have this here is a, and of course we blunder another pawn because we can, and we're so beautiful. And attacks the queen. Queen moves back, and pawn takes, and it's officially mate in 5, gentlemen. Start by taking the rook, but we don't do that. We take the queen trade. So if you wanna see mate in 5, it's basically rook takes here. If you take like this, then it's mate in 1. If you take the queen, mate in 1, or mate in 2 actually, because you can block with the queen. Like, you know, here it's mate in 2. The only way to prolong your fate is to sacrifice literally your queen, and then here make a escape square for the thing, check here, and make this little mating net here, and black has that, and not black, white has nothing. They just play this thing and mate it on the very next move with the bishop going backwards. That is the bait if you want to calculate it. Queen takes h3 though is very natural and will happen. I would actually play queen takes h3 if I had like what 3-4 minutes on the clock. G takes h3. Wow, that was not a word. G takes h3, not whatever the hell I just said. I said G takes h6 for some reason, or something like that along those lines. Rook b1, rook b1, I am completely dead, lost. Okay, so the only thing that Cole, has to hope here is a back rank, because if black successfully covers their back rank with a move like h6, g6, or f6, white loses. Call it hope chess, but there's literally no other way. Rook c5, naturally move. h4, pawn pushing because we got literally no fucking clue on what to do. Rook d5. Rook after d1, we defend. Rook after d8. PP on the PP. You will get arrested for saying this outside, but if you say this on chess, you will be just fine. We defend the PP'd piece, and wow, that was a voice crack. And now we have rook c4, giving away the pawn. The pawn is not taken, of course, because this is low elo. Now the bishop retreats. That's actually a sophisticated move, because you don't want to play h6, you just want to play this, and penguins these on my notifications. And then we take this pawn here, force a rook trade, and you just win the game. There's no back rank. You didn't have to go back, but then now there's this, so you need to move away. You don't move away, you just pin yourself, but you're completely winning, you're fine. So h6, yeah. And it's just a matter of technique. And here, free pawn. Here, sacrifice because you think you got a thing, like a stalemate. But there's no stalemate, and instead of making a queen like a normal person, we have knight promotion. Okay, that is why you're here for the low elo. And we have a successful mate in 4 deliverance. And now the score is 1-1. And gentlemen, sorry if you were expecting the third game, the tiebreaker, to be a long one. Long and struggling and fighting for survival, throwing their feces at one another. I'm sorry, but this is where it ends. Caro-Kann. D4, D5, fantasy. I still play the fantasy to this day, but I haven't brushed up on my theory. I need to do that. So, before I can fully, put this back into my repertoire. Knight to f6, knight e4. I'm going to leave the room and let you ponder on this move. Did you ponder in the move enough? Whew. Let me put my headphones back on. I would like to ask Cole, being the individual with the black pieces, what the fuck is knight to e4? I get it. You're tilting. You got mated with a knight, a bishop, and a rook, but what the fuck is that? I mean, no offense to the guy, but like, yeah, you're losing space, but you got this, so you're fine. No, we just sack the knight. No, I'm sorry, gambiting the knight. This is called the I am trash and I lose my knight variation gambit. F takes, D takes. Knight c3. Alright, bishop to f5, bishop to e3, e6. And now we have what we call the juiced up pawn structure, which is a juicer supporting juiced pawns. If you say that outside, you're gonna get arrested. So don't say it. Just say it on chess. You'll be fine. Just tell the police if you actually did in real life that I told you to say that. G3. Once if you get a player, always if you get a player. You know what they say? Queen b6. It'd be nice if I actually saw this on like here. Queen b6 is actually a line on the fantasy. Unpopular line, but it is a line. Someone did play this against me, and I got beaten in the end game because I had a low time. Rook b1, rook b1. I'm making moves that make sense. Move knight d7, bishop to h3. Trying to trade off that, and now, despite being down a fucking piece, it is +1. Why? Because you got a tactic. Boom. You take that, you get in with the queen. So, and you're actually equalizing as black here, which is nuts to think about. You're equalizing here, but being tilted, misses it, and now it's back to +3. Knight to g to e2. Supporting the same tactics here, by the way, just saying. But now if you take, it's just slightly less powerful now because it's not a check. If it was a check, it would have been a lot more powerful and it packs a lot more of a punch because now white can do this and trade the queens off, go to this endgame, and just slowly play on their advantage, which their advantage being that they have a better pawn structure than yours, despite and the compensation is like a piece for 2 pawns. I think that's the compensation. I'm pretty sure that's the compensation. And just white has to argue that has a better endgame. But we have long castles. Queen d2, c5, castles, a6 for a reason, knight to a4, queen a7, +6, gentlemen. And of course, it wouldn't be a video if there wasn't a mate in 3 blundered, thinking that you're winning this night. You're not really. But Cole forgot to realize that a check is the most important thing in chess. With king a8, queen takes c8, and now you've got knight takes b8 to prolong the fate. But Dim puts him out of his misery and blinks. Queen takes b8, checkmate, bullying the kid. The king in this case, that Distic Tusi says a lot, and getting himself the golden Lika roll. Anticlimactic ending. I mean, the introduction was explosive, I have to say. Very, very explosive, I have to say. We thank both contestants for fighting to the death to this point. It took a while to finish this video, so if you please like and subscribe and join the Discord servers. They're up there in the description. Please do that, because YouTube doesn't let me put links on the comments, unfortunately, so you have to check the description yourself. And now, in a couple days' time, it will be time for the high elo, which I will be participating in and getting my ass beaten 5 times in a row. I don't care because I don't have any stress of winning this time, so yeah. See you guys next time. Get out of here.